Hey guys, and welcome back to me diving into the MCU, and this week I'll be diving into the Phase 2 film, Avengers Age of Ultron. This was released in April 2015, is a sequel to the first Avengers film, is the 11th film in the MCU, and it was directed and written by Joss Whedon. Overall, the plot revolves around Tony Stark creating a peacekeeping program, but things don't turn out and the Avengers must assemble. The program runs itself as Ultron and the Avengers must face off against him, while bringing the Maximoff twins on their side. The Avengers are once again played by Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, Scarlet Witch as Black Widow, and Jerry Morena as Hawkeye, who everyone knows again mostly star in Infinity War and Endgame and even other future MCU movies. The Maximoff twins are played by Aaron Taylor Johnston as Quicksilver and Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, where Quicksilver, but Scarlet Witch once again appears in the future Avengers films and even her own show at WandaVision. Mentioned in that show, Paul Bettany is introduced as Vision, who carries on his story with Wanda. Nick Fury and Maria Hill are played by Samuel L. Jackson and Kobe Smulders, who played the same roles in a fair few other MCU films. And finally, James Spader plays our main villain, who is Ultron. The first hit of this film was in October 2011, when Kevin Feige started looking into their Phase 2 films. Films he definitely wanted to do was, Iron Man 3 and Avengers 2. In March 2012, Whedon stated if he didn't make this film, he would want the theme to work by itself and have a more personal film. However, this was all when a sequel was just an idea. The official announcement for the film happened in May 2012 after the release of the first film. It was clear most stars would return due to their contracts, but Robert Downey Jr. was no longer on contract due to his deal ending with Iron Man 3, and it was unclear if Whedon also wanted to return, with him even saying it was a hard decision for him at San Diego Comic-Con 2012. However, it seemed he changed his mind when Bob Iger announced his return and also the development of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in August 2012. Disney also set the release date for May 1st, 2015, later on in the month. In December 2012, Whedon then stated he had completed his idea for the film, and in March 2013, he stated that Empire Strikes Back and The Godfather Part 2 were inspirations. It is also known now that Captain Marvel was originally meant to appear, but it was removed after he realized she should be introduced by herself instead of just appearing in a costume randomly in the film. It's even said that the effect testing for the character was reused for parts of Scarlet Witch's effects in the final film. By April 2012, filming was scheduled to begin in early 2014 at Shepton Studios in England. At the premiere for Iron Man 3, Whedon stated that he had completed a draft for the script, started doing storyboards, and met with actors. He also teased Iron Man's return and the Maximoff twins here. He also later on responded to criticism saying that the twins were not added for the sake of it, he wanted to add them for more conflict. Other concerns fans had was the whole Marvel and Fox deals, but it was confirmed that over the years, Marvel Studios and Fox actually shared the rights to these two, and all Whedon had to do was change their origins so the mutant name wasn't mentioned. For the Iron Man concerns, Downey fortunately entered negotiations to extend his contract in May, and a month later he signed on to be in this film and even a third Avengers film. At San Diego Comic-Con 2013, Whedon finally announced the film's full title. However, they also stated it would not be based on the 2013 comic book miniseries. It would be based on decades of Avengers stories, and the reason why they took the name was because they liked it. Whedon has also stated that Hank Pym would not be in the film and that they were changing Ultron's origins. This was a surprise to fans since they were expecting Thanos due to, the teasers in the previous films. However, Whedon responded to all this saying Thanos was never planned to appear so soon. James Spader was announced to be playing Ultron in August 2013. Olsen and Johnson were then announced to be playing the twins in November. Then around the end of the year, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Samuel L. Jackson, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, and Kobe Smulders were announced to return. In early 2014, Bettany was confirmed to be playing Vision after his previous voice role as Jarvis. Overall, Whedon has said that this was a nightmare to include all these characters, but also he stated that this is what he liked about the Avengers, since they were always a team of people who shouldn't really be in the same room, never alone a team. Filming began on February 11, 2014 in South Africa, where second unit crews shot action sequences that involved the stunt crew, but not the main cast. Film with the main cast began in mid-March in the Shepton Studios near London. It was planned for them to start filming there for 4 months. A brand new Avengers Tower set was also built by production designer Charles Wood, and this was said to be one of the largest sets on a Marvel film. On March 22nd, production moved to Italy, and on the March 30th, filming began in South Africa. Shooting then began in England again in April, and Ailey Atwell, who plays Agent Carter in the MCU, filmed scenes around this time. Finally, on August 6, Whedon announced on Twitter that principal photography was complete. Overall, Ben Davis was the cinematographer on this project after working on Guardians of the Galaxy, and it has been said that this was the second most expensive film to make ever. In June 2014, IMAX announced that the film's release would be both in 2D and 3D. It was also revealed around this time that Stellan Skarsgård, Anthony Mackie, Idris Elba and Tom Hiddleston would be reprising their roles in this film. However, Hiddleston's scenes unfortunately didn't make it. Overall, there's been 2 reasons why this has happened. First has come from Whedon, who said he didn't want the film to feel overstuffed, and the second has come from Hiddleston, who said it was due to test screenings where people were more expecting Loki to have such a bigger role if he was appearing. Additional filming was then scheduled to be filming in January 2015 at Pinewood Studios. In April 2015, Whedon came out saying that there was no post-credit scene in the film. This is because he felt that there was no scene that could top the shawarma scene. However, he did clarify there was a scene that would happen shortly after the credits, but it's not what he classifies as a post-credit scene. In May, he revealed that he was actually in conflict with Marvel executives and film editors about certain scenes in the film. Executives were not happy with the scenes at Clint's farm and the dream sequences from Scarlet Witch. However, the only thing that really changed for Whedon was the cave scene, which was originally longer, but test audiences didn't really seem to respond well to it. He also really tried to push appearances of Captain Marvel and even Spider-Man at the end of the film, but executives were refusing since they had not cast anyone for Captain Marvel, and they did not want to talk to Sony about including Andrew Garfield in the film. Brian Tyler was also the composer on this film. He has said that his score is a homage to the original Star Wars, Superman 1978, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Danny Elfman also contributed music to the score, reprising the first film's theme to create a new theme for this film. The film finally had its world premiere at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood on April 13, 2015, and held its European premiere on April 21st at the View West End in London. The film was then first released on April 22nd, which was my 13th birthday. It was then released digitally on September 8th and released on disc on October 2nd. The film overall made $459 million in the US and Canada. It also made $943.8 million everywhere else. Overall, it made $1.403 billion, becoming the 5th highest grossing film of all time and the 4th highest grossing film of 2015. Rotten Tomatoes overall gave the film a 76% from 370 reviews. Metacritic gave it a 66 out of 100 from 49 reviews. So what are my thoughts? Well, even if it's not as a good film as the first film, I still think this film has the same beautiful wit, banter and humour that the first film had. Ultron was also such a beautiful choice for someone with such knowledge more than the actual smartest members of the Avengers, and well, he's also portrayed brilliantly, especially with his sinister voice from James Spader. Shame we have yet not seen anything from him since he's such a big villain that should come back for a rematch, but still, he was so brilliant here. Before he's introduced in the film, we get to see plenty of Avengers fun as well. Pretty much adore the opening scene since, well, it's more a mix of the team we saw at the end of the first film and the comic fun that we get to see in smaller issues. The twins are also greatly played here, a real spectacular introduction from Taylor Johnson and Olsen. I have massive problems with Quicksilver's death though. Pretty clear they only did it since Fox was starting to heavily use the character in their films. The fight scenes are also greatly done, but I'll admit there are far too many. I'd say my favourites are Iron Man vs Hulk and the massive sequence where the new Avengers fight Ultron's robots in a circle, but the rest are kinda just meh to me, just since they kinda do the similar things they've done before in the films. Honestly, this film is overstuffed, but I think it's the only problem about the film, and while this film is just as good as the first, if they added things like Captain Marvel and Spider-Man to the mix, yeah, I think it would have sunk. So that's my overall thoughts on Avengers Age of Ultron. What are your guys' thoughts? Please comment down below, and if you liked the video, please like, it would mean a lot. And if you've been watching the rest of the MCU videos on the channel, please consider subscribing because it would make my day. But overall, I'm just more importantly want to hear your guys' opinions, because Marvel is honestly one of the biggest things to me ever. And yeah, I'm so sorry if you see a decline in the microphone quality here. I do not know what's happened, but the microphone I was using has just kind of went robotic when I play back stuff. So yeah, and I also noticed it was being really dodgy on Discord. And the reason why you're not really being seeing my face on this video and the last one is just because the face cam stuff was something I was very confident about to begin with, but at the end of the day, when I feel like a mess in recording the audio, I just don't really want to record myself after especially recording in, well, the hottest time we had in Britain so far. Well, this year, I mean. So yeah, that was just to clarify things at the channel, but overall, I am enjoying doing the Avengers videos so far. So finally, for the MCU Phase 2 videos, so next week on the channel, I'll be covering Ant-Man, and that'll be the final Phase 2 video on the channel. As I said in the For the Dark World video, I'll be releasing each videos weekly once I've done with a phase. So now that I'm going to get the Ant-Man video done, I can hopefully get these videos out while starting to create the Phase 3 videos. So yeah, really looking forward to looking into Ant-Man, because honestly it is one of my favourite films in the MCU. So yeah, I'll see you then.